No, pardon my phrase, but one idiot with a gun on a Saturday afternoon in downtown Toronto does not speak to the state of affairs of the City of Toronto. This has incredible ability to create fear and angst amongst people, but we're here to tell you that we're investigating very carefully, and we have community intervention processes in place. And this is one very large, horrific event, but it's not the state of the City of Toronto.
Toronto police trying to put out the fire. Damage control after an Eaton Centre shooting spree. Panic gripping the food court as a hail of bullets kill one, wound 6 others. The Eaton Centre, a popular tourist attraction that receives roughly 1 million visitors per week. 23-year-old suspect Christopher Husbands now in custody, turning himself into police. But shocking thing here, the whole unfortunate incident could have been avoided. But the horrifying thing about this is, once again, it could have been avoided. Here's part of the police statement on this case.
At the time of the shooting, Mr. Husbands was a charged individual and was on house arrest conditions not to be outside of his residence. I want to emphasize, before going any further, that regardless of the quick arrest that has been made in this case, by no means is this investigation into the tragic events of last Saturday concluded.
Husbands was under house arrest at the time of the shooting after having been charged with another offense. This terrible toll could have been prevented. The courts have now put a publication ban on the victims, but a 24-year-old killed at the scene, target of the shooting, that person might still be alive. Even more tormenting, a 13-year-old, an innocent bystander, lies in hospital in critical condition after being shot in the head. This grade 8 student from Port Hope, Ontario, might still be enjoying a tourist visit with his family to the big city. And he wasn't even the youngest victim. A pregnant woman was also hurt, put into contractions. The life of the baby inside her could have all too easily been aborted, snuffed out before having a chance to breathe its very first breath. Folks, it's time for a serious conversation about crime and punishment. It's time for some Canadian common sense. Police have charged Husbands with 1 count of first-degree murder, 6 counts of attempted murder in connection with the Saturday shooting inside Toronto's Eaton Centre. But it's all way too little, way too late. At the time of the shooting, Husbands had been charged with another offense and was under what they call house arrest. Let's take a step back to look at Husbands' rap sheet. He and several of the victims are known gang members with strong gang affiliations. This is not a first-time offender who deserves a second chance. Husbands under house arrest with strict instructions not to leave his home. We can all see how that worked out. He simply walked out his front door, and instead of going on a shopping spree, he decided to go on a shooting spree. That's why I called it so-called house arrest. He wasn't arrested from doing what he wanted to do. If our justice system had a little more spine, a dangerous fellow like Husbands would have been behind bars the entire time. House arrest? The story comes in the back of Alison McConnell's sentencing yesterday. Sentenced to 6 years in jail for the murder of her 2 sons. Their father, Curtis McConnell, found his sons Jaden, 10 months, and Connor, 2.5 years old. They were floating in the bathtub at their home in Millet, about 40 clicks south of Edmonton. Alison McConnell, after a failed suicide attempt, getting a manslaughter tap on the wrist. She'll only get 15 months in the slammer now because she was given double credit for her time spent in a mental hospital. She'll be eligible for early release in only 10 months. Crime and punishment, 2 very different crimes, but the tone of the punishment tragically similar. Unaccountable, unelected judges working a system that all too often is soft on crime. Meanwhile, 2 toddlers are dead, never having a chance at life. A man in Toronto, dead. And a young teenage boy, doctors have removed a piece of the skull of that 13-year-old to relieve swelling, putting him into an induced coma as his family holds a bedside vigil. The whole thing could have been made a lot worse. This whole situation, a wake-up call, a call to action to make public safety a top priority. That's Canadian common sense. Eaton Centre shooting spree, 1 dead and 6 more wounded, including a 13-year-old boy who we're told is now at least able to talk, and we wish him Godspeed in his recovery. A pregnant woman also shot. That incident, as we mentioned, could have turned out far worse. 23-year-old suspect Chris Husbands now in custody, turning himself into cops. But the shocking thing is this whole thing could have been avoided. Husbands was under house arrest at the time of the shooting after being charged with another offense. The terrible toll could have been prevented. Now, for more, let's go to Toronto Sun columnist Joe Warmington, who is all in, especially on the Toronto story. Joe, can we talk about the offense that he'd been charged with, the one that he got house arrest for?
Well, there is a publication ban, but it's a very serious, violent offense. It dates back to 2010, and for some reason they just said, well, you monitor yourself, and this kind of thing. And don't forget that this guy Charles had been stabbed before, and his own father says that this incident here, although not proven in court, is a retaliation or in relation to that. So these are very violent people. And it's a joke that they were running around, and it's even bigger joke that people are trying to gloss it over.
Okay, before we talk about the glossing over, here's something the public needs to understand, and I mean needs to right now. Publication ban be damned. We're not going to do anything illegal tonight, but we did get out there that what he was charged with and what he was under house arrest for was a violent offense. When did that become in vogue in this country, that people get house arrest for violent offenses? Wasn't the drill supposed to be that we're only putting people under house arrest who aren't a serious threat to society?
You know what? It's not new. It's been going on. In fact, right now, there's dozens of people like that. They don't want to have a conversation that the federal government wants to have about things like electronic monitoring. I know it's done in some areas, but it should be done in every area. Had it been done here, they would have known this guy went out. He was out all the time anyway. His own father said that. So they're laughing at the system. And, you mentioned the 13-year-old boy. Yeah, the police say that he's doing better. He's moving his arms and he's talking, but they still, I'm not dumb. I mean, I'm not that smart, I guess, but I know a bullet to the brain is going to have some sort of lasting effects. And so, a lot of lives changed here. Even the people that were around this are terrified, and who knows, what kind of post-traumatic stress they'll have. And this happened in the Eaton Center. So it could have been avoided, as you said so well, Charles, just by the court they had the guy in custody. Why didn't they just keep him there?
Well, I have contempt, not in a legal sense, contempt for the court. That's not what I'm doing. But I've got contempt for that phrase, house arrest, because the word arrest implies that he is being stopped. What's stopping him? His good word? Is this the honor system? Yeah. Is it because these criminals have so much honor to trade? What's going on?
It's just the good lawyers as well. I mean, this offense that he's been charged with goes back to 2010. It's 2012. Actually, he was to appear in court on this on the 25th of June. So I guess I don't know if they'll get him to that or not, but it's just ridiculous that it takes 18 months or whatever it is for this to happen, more than that. And it's like, I have no idea how you explain that to the family of this kid and the other people. And obviously there's another gang member that was killed who's a human being too. So I just don't understand it. And the thing is that they're acting like it's some sort of a event that's just, happens and it's just one of these isolated things, when it's just down the street from Jane Creba. It's not that long ago for all the other ones, including Jordan Manners in the school. And even this recently, there was a 12-year-old, I was on your show about it, who was found with a gun in the school. So let's not kid ourselves.
What's with the news conference about sloughing it off, giving it the back of the hand? That's just an idiot with a gun. That's what you say when, the thunderstorm passed through. It's just a thunderstorm.
Well, I've got this chart from their Toronto Police website. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll read it out to you. In 2012, Charles, 111 now, this is updated last night, 111 shooting occurrences, 133 victims. That's more than 40% over last year, where they had 79 and 93. So it's not an isolated incident. It's something that it's an epidemic. It's a huge problem. And the apologists for the police, the chief of police didn't even come to the news conference yesterday. Now, in fairness, he was there, and he said very strong words about it being outrageous on the Saturday night. So I gave him full marks for that. I still think that he should cancel his vacation and be here for this, but maybe I'm being too harsh. But I don't know what the chief of police is for. I mean, that's what he's for, to comfort the city. The city's not fooled by this. They know what this is. They remember Jane Creba. They remember all the other shootings. There's been dozens of shootings on Yonge Street. I've covered them all. in the last 21 years. And there's been 9 or 10 downtown this year. Not one, 9 or 10, including one earlier in the day that was involved with this case here, just a little bit further west on Bathurst and Dundas. So they're sweeping it under the carpet, Charles, and I don't know why they're doing it other than they don't want the truth out there. We have a problem here, and we have to deal with it now, or there's going to be more people dead.
Do you want to comment on the woman in the Edmonton area?
I do.
40 clicks from Edmonton. Millet drowns her 2 kids, and she'll be doing, another year and a half in the slammer, probably out within 10 months. What's your take?
Well, I think it's really, obviously, it's disgusting. I feel for the family, and as you said so well in the monologue about the kids not having a chance at life. I know you're the same as me, even with the Luca Magnotta. We're sensitive to mental health issues as well. They're different than the gangster kind of people. So I know that there's some of that here. But having said that, I still find it repulsive and frightening that somebody could be out in 10 months. And I just don't understand why, why we continue to not take crime seriously in this country. The federal government is trying to make changes, but it seems that it's not filtering down through, the socialist kind of thinking that thinks that the victims don't matter. They do matter.
And I guess in 10 months she'll be mentally fit for the rest of us.
Well, it's happened before. Right. I mean, obviously the case of the guy on the bus, he's getting free passes to walk around now. I don't understand that. Right. And Denis Lortie in Quebec, we all know what happened there. 6 people murdered. And he's, has a family and is living a normal life as long as they take the medication. I'm sympathetic to mental health, and I know you are too. But I don't think that also means you get to go back and live a normal life. If the people that you kill don't get to, then I don't think you get to.
Well, the psychiatrists have turned this country, and the legal system's allowed them to and encouraged them to turn this country into guinea pig nation. That's what we all are now. We're guinea pigs. It's a big experiment. Joe Warmington, thank you, as always.
Thank you, Charles.